Buzzworthy Radio is on. The entertainment show that gets you up close and personal with today's hottest stars. Here's your host, Novell J. Lee.
Hey guys, this is Novell J. Lee and welcome into a new Buzzcast here at Buzzworthy Radio. So I've been away for a couple of weeks simply because I have not been well. That's right, it's going around and unfortunately I also caught it. So I have been stuck in bed on cough meds for the past week and a half. I'm still trying to get over it. It's lingering. But this podcast that we wanted to have up before the new year unfortunately had to be postponed to right now because it was that bad. I lost my voice. And I know a lot of people might think that's a good thing, but I did, and I'm starting to get a little bit better now. But as you can tell, I'm still a little bit congested and like I said, it's lingering, but we are back now. We're going to be hanging out with you guys for a little bit, and we got a great podcast for you, Emilio Kauderer. And even then, when I was doing the interview with him, I asked him, how do I say your last name? Hopefully I'm going to say it correctly. But he is a music composer, and he did the music for the movie Secrets in Their Eyes, which starred Julia Roberts. This is actually the American version of the Argentina film of the same name, as well as the fact that we talked to him about scoring the animated feature Underdogs, which will feature voices such as Ariana Grande in this movie. And we just talked about, in general, exactly how does he go in and compose music for the films that he works on. So right now, here it is, our interview with Emilio. Check it out. But you, my friend, have been keeping yourself plenty busy. I understand that you composed the film Secret in Their Eyes, which is actually, I guess we can say, the American version of the Argentine film?
That is correct, yes. It's a remake of Juan Campanella's original film and Eduardo Sacheri's book and script. So, and Billy Ray loved the film and decided to do his version of it with the Los Angeles setting and with the concepts in English and with three wonderful superstars.
How do you, as far as when you're coming up with the music for this version of it, differentiates between the original version? Like how does that work? How does that play into effect?
Well, I felt actually Billy Ray loved the original old music and film and cameras and everything, and he just wanted to give it a twist. Mm-hmm. And in general, we composers get hired at the end when the movie's temp track with somebody else's music and all that. But I tried to beat the temp track. So I did almost 10 projects. I succeeded in trying to ask the director to let me have a shot to compose the music for the film, that particular film, before it hits the editing bay. Mm-hmm. So I can go with my demos and my new themes and my concept. And I didn't know exactly what was the idea, but I read from whatever concepts that they threw back then in the very beginning. I read that it was different. Mm-hmm. So I wrote an email to Billy Ray saying, this is the way that I worked in the past in 6 projects with Juan Campanella, and is that I read the script, I sit at the piano, mm-hmm. I write my themes, I bounce them back to him, and we all get excited, and sometimes I finish demoing, almost half of the movie before it even gets shot. But everybody gets excited with themes and concept. Mm-hmm. So he says, that sounds interesting, why don't you come for 15 minutes tomorrow? And an hour and a half later, I was showing him my approach to the first reading of the script. That for me was completely a different film. I didn't make a parallel between the original and this one.
Oh, okay.
I thought this was more driving, more of a thriller, so we can talk about it.
Okay. Very good. I was like wondering about that too, because I was like, I don't think that, as you just said, yeah, you definitely didn't want to kind of come up with a similar concept in the original, and then then in the new one, you don't want to have this a similar approach. So it was good to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, correct.
Now, how did you start doing music composition? Was that something that you've always had a fondness of in music, or was that something that you got into later on in life? Like you had something else that you wanted to do before this, or was this always your dream?
It was a growing thing, but from my childhood. I started playing the piano at the age of 8, and it took my day, and I was very much into it. And then I started trying to conduct and on the mirror, and then on the orchestra with the orchestras and all that. And it came kind of as a interesting thing for me, and I was interested in knowing how it goes that you actually come up with the notes. Mm-hmm. And I started learning the classical way of composing contemporary music and all that, but very early. And I did songwriting, and I went through rock and roll and all that. And I was actually a record producer for the branch of Ariola. And one morning, one of the producers comes and tells me this wonderful news that Ariola merged with a film production company. Would you like to compose music for a film? And I said, let me give it a shot. I didn't know how complicated or not it would be.
Sure.
To figure out, you see a scene, and you actually go ahead and come up with something, right?
Right.
And I did that movie, and next to that I did Time for Revenge, which was a very, very compelling thriller that it still plays up to these days. And I got very successful at it, and I just got bitten by the bug of film composing, and I completely dumped the record production. Mm-hmm. So I started writing back then. That's around the 80s, and ever since I do that, it's a very, very. I take as a blessing just to see a scene and know more or less what kind of a temperature and style and emotion I want to frame or capture or enhance. Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
I always find it fun to talk to music composers because I just pick their brain about how they come up with all the musical scores for scenes in movies or televisions, series, television documentaries, movies, whatever have you. Just coming up with it myself, I'm sitting there going like, I don't know how they're able to think that this piece fits here or this piece fits there, or emphasize this part in the score for this scene or downplaying it for this one. So it's always fun to know. From many of the composers I spoke with, how they convey the music to fit the scene, because honestly, I don't have that kind of talent.
Well, I never know if it's the talent or the hours. I don't know. It's just a general concept, but it is the sensibility and work. I think it's very interesting because Billy Ray was in love with the original theme of the original movie, right? Mm-hmm. And after reading the script, our first meeting with him, I said, it's not going to work. It's going to look too sweet and too mellow. Well, but it's a wonderful piece of music. What's your problem? I have no problem. I would love to compose a new score, but and give me a shot. And then, interestingly enough, I composed a few themes, not just one, that had. It's interesting where I'm bringing it up because a little bit to the right or the left make a lot of difference. And right or the left of sweet, it can make it sappy. Right to the left of sweet can make it too dark. And this particular relationship in the new version, it's very
Mm-hmm.
between obsessed and poignant. And there's a lot of angst that the original theme doesn't have. The original theme is just a straight love story. There's no such thing in this movie. Oh, come on, you don't like my love story, really, right? Yes. No, I love it. It's just how I feel. It's just like you have that girl that you never kissed, and come on, and
yeah.
I'm trying to portray or dance or just let him know that I have inside something different. And it's interesting to play with music and sentiments and feelings, and it is my challenge.
Do you think it's for whenever you now? Let me see if I have this right. When you guys go ahead and come up with the musical scores for a scene, you get the scene package, you watch the scene, and then you come up with the music while you're watching the scene straightforward, or sometimes it has one of those temp tracks in it, as you mentioned earlier, and then you come up with it. Is it easy to come up with it because the actors in the scene make it easy for you to come up with the music, or is it more of a challenge when you're watching these actors play that scene because it's like, oh, they're going this one way, maybe I need to tweak the music up a notch, or they're downplaying this, so maybe I need to be louder or be lower, or it's one of those things I'm fascinated by. So how I don't know, how do you just go in and just go in and do it?
As I mentioned before, I try to I think, let me rewind one more bar. I think our imagination while reading a book, it's much bigger than you actually see or you're very lucky if you can see that on the screen, right? You read a script and somehow you have your own monsters, angst, and happiness, etc. So for me, it works much better to read the script and come up with those feelings first. And that's
right.
Exactly what I did. I asked Billy a few weeks to compose 7 of the cues that are currently in the movie.
Okay.
So those demos that were done to the script had a value that at some point Billy didn't even understand. Well, what is this guy writing for? He doesn't even know what he's writing for. And instead, I was marking the feeling that I would have driving back, or having a flashback, or if I couldn't get that girl for 13 years or whatever. Okay. Whatever my feeling was at that point. And then, yes, you fine-tune that. And let me add something that I said before, which was very, very important. It's like when you jump on a parachute. I composed all those. I did like 11 themes and moods and all that, all demo before the movie was shot. And I didn't know why, out of intuition probably. I wanted to work that hard.
Okay.
But let me tell you, when I got the dailies to watch Julia Roberts with her most powerful performance, and Nicole Kidman and Edge of Four. And Edge of Four is very intense.